All right, so for most of you, by now, you have been in our office for about maybe 2 weeks to maybe even a month for some of you. And this is called the 5 Essential Equipping class. It's going to be mainly focused on giving you a summary of what the 5 essentials are. And I know that some of you got some testing already, like a questionnaire, some vitals taken, like your blood pressure, your pulse, all that kind of stuff. And we'll briefly go over that as well at the very end. And we challenge you to do something, probably implementation of all the 5 essentials bit by bit is going to be key. But first things first, if you are new, raise your hand like you've never even met me. Because I see some new faces. Oh, one, okay. And so if you don't have any resources with you, everybody has a little bit of a shopping list, a grocery list. So these are resources, but we also will provide opportunities to get, like, this book is probably all that you need for notes. It's called the 5 Align Your Health, but it has the 5 essentials in here, and it's a complete guide that I'm going to talk about in depth today. Again, I said I'm going to do a summary, but you have on the information in the front, and in the back you have all these recipes of the advanced plan and the core plan that we'll talk about today, so that you can also take this on. We also have, I'm an author of a little book called Dr. Rosie's Mexi Keto Kitchen that we also have available for a resource. And then another thing that we haven't given you guys yet is this little resource here, which I'll explain. It's called Max T3, that we try to get you guys to start incorporating with one of the essentials, which is exercise. So we're going to also talk about all the supplementation and things that you can start doing. And then before I go forward too, by now you've learned some of the exercises, the traction, the head weights, the wobble, and all that's going to be explained to you again so that you can know how to use this stuff. And then my team's going to go over how to start getting this done at home, and so you can start doing your own exercises at home. So when we do these classes, and every time you'll hear me say the same thing initially, and specifically is that we want to talk about why. Why are you here? Because most of the time people, when it comes to their health, they come specifically for what? Like, most people go to chiropractors for what? Pain. And so that's what brought you in here. But what you're going to find out today, kind of like in my doctor's report, when I go over x-rays with you guys and all that, I have you watch my doctor's report, but I talk about my why. That the reason why I continue to do these classes day in, day out, always on the radio show, doing things to try to help people, not only in here, but in our community, is that if you don't know my story by now, I'll tell it to you again. But I unfortunately lost my mom early. She died from all the sequela of not only diabetes, but all the medications that she was on. She was on 18 medications by the time she died. She had kidney failure. She was blind. She literally, by the time she was in her 40s, we were having to, do for her and take care of her. And fast forward about 4 years ago, my sister died at 47 from diabetes as well, but not really from diabetes. It was the sequela of all the medications she was taking. And she had been given Haldol for some kind of stuff for some schizophrenia that she had. And before you know it, the Haldol drove her nuts. And so we ended up, my sister and I, taking care of her. But in her late 40s, she died from an overdose of the Haldol that they gave her. And so then not too long ago, now a year and 3 months or 4 months, my son was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So again, the good news with him is that ever since because of the knowledge God gave us and all the application, faith without works is dead, we've been able to not have to give him any insulin, and he's as healthy as he can be, even though he's type 1 diabetic. And so this is where I don't want this to be a pity party. It's a thank God thing, that the circumstances in our life, whether it be sicknesses or people dying in your family or whatever you're going through, that God gives us these circumstances for a reason, and we thank God for them because we only learn from them. And it's a thank God thing, because I had so much passion in what I do and an urgency to try to, what I call, seek and save that which is lost, like in Luke 19:10, because people are out there typically don't know what health is, and we base it on what? On how we feel. Like she said, people come in here for pain, and typically when you're in pain, most people get what? Just drugs, more drugs, or surgery. So we try to do these classes is always for the sake of trying to show you what to do to start acting on your health. And the 5 essentials are basically simply that, is trying to go back and look at the cause. Because the cause is the cure. If you can just go back and find out why you're at the point that you're at, and what we start acting on it, we can start changing. But who heals us first? Am I your healer? Who made you? Who created you? God. And that's exactly what I told my son when he was diagnosed. It's like, don't worry, baby, because you have a big God, and he's going to have victory over this, and you're going to be able to use this to then go serve others. And so that's what you have to remember, is that we got to be reminded we are able to heal, right? We are. And if you don't think that, then the enemy has gotten into your head, and you got to just remove that and destroy the lie. So there's interferences, and we talk about 5 interferences here. This, when you walk in, the power that made the body heals the body. This is the foundation of chiropractic, that we trust in that power that's within us, that never left us until the day we die. Then we go up to him, right? So this is where it starts. These are the 5 essentials, and they're not all, like, they don't have to be in order, but we talk about the importance of removing interference to your spine. That's with chiropractic. And we're going to talk about, it's not about pain, it's about making sure that your brain and your nervous system talks to your body and your brain. So that brain-body connection has to be at the best potential. Okay. The other thing would be nutrition, that we want to remove interferences to all the nasty chemicals and just junk that we are inundated with all the foods. The third would be mindset. And I think, in my eyes, this should be at the top of the 5 essentials, because as a man thinketh, so he is. Yeah. So when you think that you are your diagnosis and you think you have no hope, there you are. Does that make sense? So sometimes we got to remove the lie, and that stinking thinking gets in the way. So we have to remind ourselves, we are created by him. We got to remove the interferences mentally. And all of these are classes that I do individually. This is again going to be a summary of everything. And then, of course, exercise and oxygen are vital. It's not just to look good in a Speedo, because nobody ever does, but it's about making sure that you're functioning to your potential so that you can be there playing with your grandkids. And when you retire, it's not just about, okay, you rolling a wheelchair, you know what I mean, down into the nursing home. And it's about you living to your God-given potential as best as you can. And then lastly, it's removing toxins as much as we can, because we do live in a toxic world and we can't be in a bubble, but we can do the best we can to try to remove these things. So we also had, like I told you, given you a questionnaire where we're going to talk over this nutrition thing, and I'll go over this. But how to prioritize all this information, I'm just going to tell you these are not in order, but I do want you to get the role of chiropractic and the philosophy before I go forward, because people typically don't really understand how powerful this system is. So God put an amazing power in our body. So for everything to work, for your heart to beat, for your lungs to breathe, for you to digest food, for your arms to move, everything has to be directed by what? Your brain. I mean, hopefully you know that in Anatomy 101. But your brain connects to your body by this spinal cord, and then through each part of your vertebrae, you have these nerves that go and connect to your body. Like here in your neck, they go to your arms. Here in the low back, they go to your legs, right? But each nerve also you're wired to every organ and tissue. So here in the upper neck. They go up into your head. You have eyes, ears, nose, throat, your thyroid, down here to your heart. Then into your ribs here, you have your stomach, your gallbladder, your liver, your intestines, of your low back, your prostate, your sexual organs. All these organs are connected to your body. So if you have subluxation, and nowadays more than ever, what are we watching with our postures? We're starting to go forward, right? So as we go forward, now it's tethering the spinal cord, and more importantly too, it's now pinching the nerves that go down like your arms or to those organs. So let's pretend that this spine, if it's subluxated or misaligned, if it's crooked like this, it's putting pressure here to the nerve that goes to the stomach. How's the stomach going to function? At 100%? Probably not. Probably 80, 70, who knows? But most people at first don't have any stomach issues. Maybe they have mid-back issues or wherever the problem is, you know, their low back or their neck. But then with time, what's going to happen with the stomach? You start wondering why you're getting acid reflux, why you're getting, you know, upset stomachs or, you know, issues like that. So what we try to remember is to remind you is that we got to remove the pressure off of the nerve that first tells that organ how to function. So you can take all the Pepcid acid medications out here, but does it fix the problem? You got to go back and remove what? The interference, which we call subluxation, is when your spine's crooked. We help correct that alignment to remove the interference to the nerve so that that power that God created talks to your body at what percent? At the best potential that it can. Because some people won't get to 100 because they have so much damage already. Or you understand, or some people already have, let's say, surgeries and things like that they've fused. So we do the best we can to show you how to correct your spine. So when we look at these charts, and I have them around my office, and even when we gave you your folder initially, I gave you this chart. It tells you specifically like where these nerves go to. But to correct your spine, in the past, chiropractic was always about like just the doctor doing the work. You get adjusted, and then what? At the door you go, never get told what to do. Here, when you come in, you walk in, and it's a little different. You know, you see people doing exercises before and after, and we're showing you then what you're going to be doing at home. So you, just like brushing your teeth, you're also going to be involved with exercises so that as we start weaning you down to like once a month or whatever, you're doing your part to sustain your spine. So this is where all this kind of equipment comes into play, that you have to have your stuff to take care of you, and you're not just dependent on us to fix it. So we call it mix it, fix it, and set. So when you come in here, you do your traction, right? And so a lot of times people have questions on traction, like, oh, it hurts. So let's pretend it's hung up on your closet door, and if you haven't gotten this for home already, you know, you have this thing where you hang it up on your door, and then you want to make sure that you're putting it right, like, and they've showed you this, so I'm not going to go through every little step, but you want this to be like towards your, like below your chin here. This is too high for me, I'm too short, so I'm going to pretend I'm a little taller, and it goes under your chin here, and then you want to extend and then come back, extend and up. So what you're doing is literally you're pumping the disc space in between the vertebrae. So these vertebrae have these discs, and so every time you're tractioning, you're opening up that disc space. This white material doesn't have blood flow. It only is nourished through movement, through water, and through motion. So when you're tractioning or when you're wobbling on these discs, and you see people wobble back and forth, what you're literally doing is bringing motion and water, kind of like a sponge, squeezing it and getting those little pores to fill up with water. So it's always good to drink water before and after you get adjusted, and before you do use exercises, to imbibe fluid inside the disc. When these discs start to not move because they're subluxated, when the vertebra is subluxated, that disc, you see how it's a lot thinner than this one right here? So who's functioning better, this one or this one? This one, right? The problem with this phase here is that there's still no what? It's kind of like a cavity. You can have a cavity, but you don't know because there's no what? Pain. A lot of times people know, well, I don't know why I have problems now or degeneration when I didn't have any problems. But this is what happens. As soon as something's stuck or not moving, those discs start to dehydrate. They start to like wither away. And so now the hole is still open where the nerve exits and there's no pain because it's still not pinching it enough, but how is it functioning? Less. And then you give it another decade, then the disc starts to really wither away, okay? And that's whenever it bulges or herniates. You guys have heard that, right? So now bone rubs on bone because there's friction. And when there's friction, what happens in between the joint? Anytime there's inflammation, what goes into an area? If there's inflammation in a joint, it's called what? Arthritis. Itis means what? Inflammation. So anywhere there's inflammation in your body, it's called itis. Like in your pancreas, it's called pancreatitis. In your gallbladder, you know, gallbladderitis, I don't know. You know what I mean? But they add itis to almost everything. Prostatitis, or whatever. So, but every time there's inflammation, your body puts calcium in there to try to protect. And so now you have all these bone spurs growing, grinding. So you hear the crickle and the grinding. So we want to open up those gaps. But then the problem now, this nerve's getting pinched. Now you're wondering why your arm's falling asleep or your leg, right? But now more important than that, those nerves go to the gut. How's that functioning? Probably not too good. You guys see this? So this is where, and then if that's not functioning, then it's, you go to the doctor and then it's another removal of something, or don't worry about it, ma'am, here's this drug for the rest of your life. And so this is how my mom ended up with she was literally gutted to death by the time she was in the tomb, because she had almost everything ripped out of her. And that's not God's ways, guys. God doesn't make junk. And so we need to make sure that we protect the way the body functions. So when we talk about traction, why we're doing it, we're helping you, kind of like flossing your teeth. You're flossing your spine. Then you get adjusted after you traction to set the spine in where it needs to be. Then lastly, we show you these kind of weird head weight exercises. They look a little awkward. Sometimes people walk in here, it's like, what are these people doing? And I can care less, guys, about how weird we are. We're all doing it, you know what I mean? But it's about making sure that you take care of correcting your spine. And so to strengthen your spine as the head goes forward, so when we're texting and all this technology, the head goes forward, the body biomechanics will do this. So here, you think that you're straight, but what's happening? You're getting strain in your low back and strain in your mid back here, and then your knees, strain in your knees and your ankles. So it's all connected, right? So then everything starts to have issues with the shoulders. They round, then you wonder why you have rotator cuff issues. So what do we need to do? Is back, right? So the best way to strengthen your spine is neurologically. We use these head weights to tell your brain and your body to bring you back. Kind of like a backpack. You put a backpack on. What does the body do? Does it go backwards with the weight? Neurologically, what does your body do? It kind of pulls you forward, right? So if you're like this, we put weight here. You would think you'd go forward, but the weight actually tells your body to bring you back. So then you add the weight plus, now we give you these little discs to do your wobbling, but you can use this later. I don't recommend it in the beginning, but you add some kind of a balance exercise like the little wobble disc or the vibration, and then you're doing this at the same time. Now you're stimulating your brain-body connection by stimulating your cerebellum. Cerebellum talks to your cerebral cortex, and on and on. I'm going to talk over your head, but you're afferentating the spine and your neurology. We also have you like walk this way. It's all just inducing your neurology to help your spine, okay? And then lastly, at night, we have you use these little fulcrums, which We also add, they're like little floaties. Like you just go to the dollar store, get a floaty from the swimming pool, cut it, and you put one here and here, and you get these little kind of fulcrums to induce the curves back in your spine. Does that make sense? So how long does this take? And how do you implement this? So I typically in the morning, I want to show you how this works, because if you don't get it over in the morning, before you know it, work comes, life comes, you don't do it at all. I'm a 5 o'clocker. I don't know if you guys get up early, but I'm let's get it done in the morning and everything. So you do it when you want to do it, but I like before my kids, because once they're up, it's over. And so I'm a coffee addict. So anyways, I in the morning get up and go straight to the bathroom, where I have my traction in the closet and my head weight by my sink. Okay, so as soon as I get up, I traction like 10 times. Well, backtrack a little. I do a lot of grace and gratitude before I get up out of my bed and do my little, kind of little, just a mini thank you. My thank you for everything. Then I go do my traction. Then I put my head weight on, okay? And I get my toothbrush while I have it on, okay? And brush my teeth. And I keep it on after I brush my teeth, then I keep it on, go to the coffee pot, because that's like my idol right there. Sorry. I do have that as an addiction still, and I need to get rid of it. But I turn my coffee on, then get my coffee. And so this has already been on for 10-15 minutes. Then I sit down on my chair, with my wobble chair, with my and I have my coffee, and then I get my devotional book, and then I'm just kind of wobbling while I'm doing this. And then maybe if I have a little bit more time, I'll either stand on this for a little bit more, and then that's it. And it took me I don't know, the whole little morning time just to get that done. Does that make sense? Maybe 15 minutes. So it doesn't take that long. And then I go straight to the garage, and I go to do what we call Max T3, which I'm going to show you. So that's the exercise portion of this, and you're going to get this before you leave. But this is a little card resource that we give you that has how to log in to this, and it's a 12-minute session, because most people don't work out because they say they don't have what? Who doesn't have 12 minutes? Okay, thank you, because we all have 12 minutes. So this guy goes on here, and so he puts exercises for you, and is put together so nicely. And this is just like a free thing you can go and start doing without any kind of equipment, just your body weight. Okay, and he has maybe other little things you can do, like dumbbells if you have them, or resistant bands, but whatever you want to do. But it's intended to be for the lay person that wants to just start to get a good workout. Okay, and don't think because it's just body weight that it's not easy. It's pretty hard, but you have a basic, an intermediate, and an advanced person. Okay, you guys know what Beachbody is. Kind of like the same premise. So go ahead and stand up and put your disc on the floor, and don't put anything on your chair. And we're going to all do this together. So you're going to stand up and put your stuff on the floor, and keep your chair open, and put the wobble chair on the floor, and put your feet wide enough to where the chair legs are. And now go ahead and sit down. So you got that. And I'm only going to give him probably the benefit of the doubt of maybe having to modify. Couldn't you still do that? You can do that, right? Okay, so this workout is about as fast as you can and as hard as you can. What I mean, don't compare it to anybody. So if somebody comes up and they take time to get down like that, that's their thing. But if you know you can do this pace, then do that. If you know you can do this pace, then do that. If you know you can do this pace, then do that. You know what I mean? But you have beginner, intermediate, and advanced, but what's the only thing that's going to stop you from going to the next level? Who's the only person that's going to stop you? You. Or the enemy telling you can't, or it's too hard. And so that's when you have to start thinking, I'm better than that. God wants me here to do better, to go serve people. And that's when you have to think, what is your why? Is that if it's still about you, then you're in the way to be used for God. So you got to get rid of or the stinking thinking, and the enemy tries to rob us of that. So go ahead and stand up. We're going to do that for 20 seconds on and 20 seconds off. So ready? Go. As fast as you can, as hard as you can. As fast as you can, as hard as you can. Just keep going. And if you know you can go faster, you go faster. Okay? If you can just do 5 in the 20 seconds session, then just do 5. If you can do 50 in the 20-second session, then do 50. Okay, let's say that's 20 seconds. Go ahead and sit down. Okay? Do you have any kind of cane with you? No? Okay. So can you get in front of him and help him up and then come down? Okay? Is she with you? Yeah, okay. So just help him up and then come down. And then in the other 20 seconds, what's she going to do? She's going to do while she's breaking. Okay, ready, set, go. As fast as you can, as hard as you can. As fast as you can, as hard as you can. As fast as you can, as hard as you can. As fast as you can, as hard as you can. Ready? And okay, and stop. You can go ahead and I'll help him. So, all right. And how long are we going to rest for? Right. Okay, use my shoulders. Ready, set, go. Everybody, as fast as you can, as hard as you can. You can do this. Just do a normal get up. Hold on to my... Okay, then hold on to that. There you go. And that's good. And then just come down. Okay, good. And then come back up. And then come back down. And one more. And last one. And there we go. So that would be another 20 seconds. You know what I mean? Because even though it was only 3, did your heart rate go up with that? A little bit? Did your heart rate go up? Okay. So you're going to have to find, like, let's say this is not going to work. Then go ahead and stand up. And we're all standing up. Go ahead and stand up. Okay. So now, can you march in place? Just march in place. As much as you can. And if you can't do that, punch. 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 Come on. Don't march in place, just punch. Go, 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 go. Punch. Don't march in place, just punch. Just focus your effort in punching. There we go. Punch fast. Faster, 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 faster. Keep going. And now stop. Did that kind of bring it up? A little bit, right? Okay, now sit down. So the whole key thing is not trying to do something you can't do. Don't make it too hard. Just get your heart rate up. Do, flies. And then just kind of like sigh. Get your heart rate up for how long? 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off. Because what you're doing here is you're bringing that heart rate up, but then you're also, if like, let's say he wants to use, dumbbells because that's too easy, then you grab a set of dumbbells and punch. Because what you're wanting to do is bring that growth hormone and testosterone up, and you just keep practicing. Does that make sense? So follow this, and you'll see after a month of doing these workouts, and I would just challenge you to do them 5 times a week. Okay, so Monday through Friday, 12-minute workouts, and just start crossing it off in your calendar. And just Atomic Habits. Read that book, please. You guys all have to pick up that book. It's called Atomic Habits. But it's all about the implementation of even just getting started. Because most people don't do anything because they never get what? Started. You got to get started. So this kind of helps you just to do it at home, and then you watch something where you can keep following. Okay, so this is the resource you want to pick up before you leave. All right. So now I talked about chiropractic, how do you do the homework, and then also your exercises. By the way, guys, these are the changes after we were working with your spine. Like, let's say you have a reverse curve like this. This is after about a month and a half of care. Do you guys notice the difference? It's not perfect, but that spine went back. So again, a little bit of changes take pressure off of what? The nervous system. Get that structure back, and not only get out of pain, but you start to function. He's giving you a smoothie, and after my workout that I do, I go straight to the kitchen, and this is my daily routine, guys. And I make a smoothie like this, and what it's made out of is just in a blender. You put coconut milk, you put frozen berries, you put a good quality grass-fed or bone broth protein. Which one did you use? The whey protein. Okay, we have a whey protein, we have a bone broth protein here, which is all grass-fed, no artificial sweeteners. It's just basically 2 ingredients, grass-fed whey, and then the bone broth is the same thing, no artificial, like 2 ingredients, and collagen. So that's where it's just 3 ingredients. It's berries, coconut milk, the protein, and ice. And sometimes if you want to add like spinach to your smoothie, you can add that too. The recipe books have so many alternatives for smoothies and stuff, but again, you just need to go in there and start seeing what you can do for breakfast. So now I've worked out, I've done my exercises, I've had my breakfast. Even my kids make these, and then I'm done with my nutrition. Okay, and then the last thing would be just making sure you get rid of toxins. So I'm going to talk now just on those 2 things, toxicity and nutrition, and then we'll be done here. So nutrition, was that pretty good? Right? I mean, it's one of those things you can just take it with you at work. If you have one of those NutriBullets, you can make it, and then just you're done with breakfast, and you don't have to make it such a big deal, and it's healthy for you. Did you like it? I ask kids a lot. You liked it? Would that fill you up if you had a whole mug? Yeah, right? Yeah. And so after your workout, you want to fuel your body with good quality fats, good quality protein, and good nutrients like that comes from berries and greens. So we're going to talk about 2 things here next, which is nutrition and toxicity. And why I do toxicity first is that if you're going to do one change with the information we're going to give you, is I want you to understand how important it is for your body to change from the cells out, because your body is made from cells, and then cells make organs, and organs make tissues in your body. Okay, but if your cells are damaged, your whole body is damaged. Okay, and so one of the biggest things we call that cellular healing is most of the time the cells are so sick that you become so inflamed and diseased. And we're going to talk about these 3 things, but the number one thing that I want you to do if you're going to do any change is get rid of toxins. And what is a toxin, guys? Like, what is it? Waste? Oh, poison. Yeah. So they come from foods. So like, see this red dye here? So most kids think that this is so healthy after an exercise or a workout. So they have these kind of drinks or monster drinks or whatever. But anything that is dyed, like now with Valentine's, all these treats and all this stuff is all just dyed foods. You know what I mean? But chemicals, God made carbohydrates, He made fats, and He made proteins, but He never made a chemical. So When it goes into your body can process a carbohydrate and a fat and a protein, but it doesn't know what to do with these chemicals. So toxins bind to what in our body? But what specific? Who said it? Yeah, fat. And your cell membrane is made up of a bilayer. It's a double lipid layer, a phospholipid layer. I don't want to talk over your head, but it's a fatty layer. Okay? And see these little kind of rays like in the sun? Those are receptors. They're like antennas that listen to what? Receptors listen to hormones. And so like insulin, estrogen, testosterone, hormones like thyroid hormone. So you have all these hormones that your brain produces to talk to your cells to let things in and to let them, to let things in and to bring things out. Okay? So I'm just going to give you the simple one of sugar. So your body needs fuel, right? So you eat sugar, and your body will use that sugar, whether it's fake or whether it's God sugar. It's going to use it, okay? But we're going to want to change it into God sugar, but it needs to get in here to be utilized in your mitochondria for ATP, which is an organelle that produces energy, ATP, okay? So to do that, it needs insulin. So your brain, when there's sugar, tells your pancreas to produce insulin. So then the insulin goes and attaches to the receptor and then allows a gate for the sugar to go in. Okay, got that? All right. So now you're eating all this toxic sugar like tomorrow. You know what I mean, for Valentine's. And so all these toxins are going to start binding to these receptor sites because they bind to what? Fat. And the receptor sites are made up of a fat. And so now over the years, you have very little insulin receptors because they're so clogged. They're taken over by the toxins. So now you eat lots of sugar, your body produces lots of insulin, but these receptor sites are busy. So now you only have 3. So you get insulin what? What's the terminology? Resistance. So that's when you start seeing these diseases occur, that it's not that your body isn't making the insulin, but your body can't what? Hear it. Because it's so toxic. That makes sense? That's just one example. It happens with hormones, like estrogen. People say they're chemically imbalanced. Well, you have so many xenoestrogens, which are made from plastics, or like, this is a good example, petroleum, jelly, like everything has petroleum in it now. But all these are bad fats that stick to these bad fats, replace the good fat, and then the receptor sites are taken up by these fake estrogens called xenoestrogens, and your body can't even hear its own estrogen anymore. Okay? Now I'm just telling you this just so you can know that little by little toxins clog. It's called cellular congestion. Then not to mention sugar, not only bad sugar, but just sugar in general. It creates inflammation in the cell wall. So like after Thanksgiving, what happens the next day? Everybody's all like stiff and bloated because everything is inflamed. You're wondering why your joints can't like move and everything just feels icky. Your brain fog, everything. And then lastly, fat. So it's not just, we're going to talk about fat. Is fat good or bad? It's both, yeah. Typically we want good fat, but bad fat will actually like hydrogenated fat. Like for instance, where's my burger? Oh, he has my burger. I have like a jar of a McDonald's burger I bought in 2017, and he has it over there because it looks the same, guys. The burger, whenever I always have it up here, it has not changed, no mold, no bacteria, no nothing, because bacteria don't even want this stuff. You know what I mean? It's just like the fry looks still edible, and people like are, yeah. So all this kind of stuff causes the cell to be useless. So each 3 or 4 months, your body makes a new cell. But when it gets real toxic, this cell does not die. It stays there. And this is the bad part, because you're not getting apoptosis, so you're just accumulating these really bad cells. And then nutrients can't go in. You're like, oh, I'm going to start eating healthier. But nutrients can't come in because it's so toxic. And what else can't come out? Toxins, right? So it becomes really sick, right? And so this still has DNA that it produces another sick cell, and then another sick cell, and before you know it, you have a clump of a lot of what? Sick cells, which creates what? What? Disease, yeah, but specifically, what kind of disease here? If you have lots of sick cells, who said it? Cancer. So your body detects this cancer, because we all have cancer, right? But the body will detect it and put like a layer around these cells, which then it's called a what? Cancer cell. A clump of bad cells is called what? A tumor. You guys are so smart. A tumor. And it tucks it away in fatty tissue, like breasts or uteruses or brain. You guys see that? And so then they find this, typically this is newborn, and that's death. And as we get older, McDonald's, vaccines, antibiotics, more drugs, whatever. And then before you know it, you're like at 50%, like halfway through your life. But you don't have any symptoms yet because the body is so adaptable. But is it healthy? It's already going towards death, right? 60%, you finally get told you have cancer. Because you had 3-inch cancer, and like, why? I didn't even have symptoms. You've been sick for years. You know what I mean? So just because you get diagnosed, most people at this point, they get diagnosed, and then where do they run? That way, or they run this way? More medications, more chemo, more radiation. You guys see that? See, cancer doesn't make you sick. It's the sickness over time that creates cancer. But what created this? I don't want to be mean, but I don't want to be emotional intelligent when I tell people this, and I won't tell them in their face, but we created it. So who can get rid of it? You can't. You know what I mean? God gave us the ability to reverse this too. As a man thinketh, so he is. In Romans it says, do not conform to the patterns of the world, but be transformed by the what? And you can renew your body. And the thing is I've seen it over and over again. I can never tell somebody, oh yeah, I heal cancer, but your body can heal cancer. But what do you have to get rid of first? What's the number one thing, by the way? The stinking thinking that you got told you have cancer, you're going to die in 3 months. Who knows? Who knows how long you have? Only he knows, guys. But the minute you accept that in your heart and your brain, that's exactly what's going to happen to you. You say, rebuke, I rebuke you, Satan. Get out of my head. Because with the power of God's glory and his help, I'm going to change this. And I'm going to, faith without works is dead, just like that lady touched that cloak and said, you're going to heal me, God. And she believed without no doubt that it happened, right? But she had to do what? Push through the throngs of people to touch that cloak. She had to act while people were spitting on her, probably calling her names. You know what I mean? So this is where you got to also act. So we have to also change here, but then we got to go back and renew this. And so the body, and science has actually caught up to this, it's called autophagy, where your body goes and kills old cells through getting rid of the stuff, like fasting. So in our advanced classes, we teach you how to fast, where your body starts then, it doesn't have any sugar, so it needs to now go utilize this stuff by breaking it up into its sugar. And I'm not going to tell you to go fast right now, but if I'm going to ask you to do two things for your nutrition, is start getting rid of the toxins and start laterally shifting to more of the good stuff. And this is not a great example. I'm using more this for a baby talk that I did, where I don't use Similac, use breast milk. You know what I mean? But I mean, I show babies and pregnant moms how to, not babies, but the moms, to feed them better. You know what I mean? So, but anyways, we show you how to shift this stuff and start getting rid of the toxins, getting rid of the sugar, and getting rid of the fat. So now when I go into the nutrition stuff, we have two plans. We have a plan called the core plan, and we have an advanced plan. The core plan, really simplistic, is God food versus man food. So if you're going to change more into going this direction and not this direction, you would want to go home tonight, get a garbage bag, and go into your cabinets. And if you can't read it, don't eat it. So you look at the ingredients, and if it says, like, I don't know, words you can't say, dihydroxy, whatever, methylene blue, whatever, I don't know what these words are, then you just ditch it. Like, why would you give that to your kids? You know what I mean? And so this is just get rid of it. If it's a real God food, and it's kind of tricky nowadays because you have genetically modified. We just did a shop with Doc, who you went with it. We teach people how to do the serial numbers. Like if it's at 9, it's organic. If it's 8, it's, you know, genetically modified. If it's a 4, it's made with pesticides. So we show you how to do this stuff because you can have 2 apples, one with seeds and one without seeds. Did God make something without seeds? He wants us to multiply, right? So no seedless stuff. You know, you start using logic. Okay, so this is where we show you how to do this through these advanced talks, and we're always doing talks. This next month is another one. We're always inviting you, but you need to come back and continue to learn this stuff. So in the book, and I'm going to tell you, this book is like a gem. It'll tell you what foods are in the core plan in Appendix A. So you go to Appendix A, and then it'll tell you, you know, which fats, which proteins on the core nutrition plan. And that's an easy one, because if you want sugar, what kind of sugar can you have in the core plan? What are God's sugars? Fruit, honey, maple syrup. Was modified corn starch or corn fructose syrup? No. You know what I mean? Like none of this kind of stuff. We have Coke typically, you know, so you don't have that sugar. You have God sugar. And fat, what kind of fat? Olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil. The list is on there, but I'm not going to give you a whole class on nutrition, but go read the resources I just gave you, okay? But if you really want to heal your body and get to the next phase, like I would really think, like for April, you know, you guys, how you have Lent, you want to go to the next phase of healing. Fasting and advanced plan would be the key. And this plan, not only do you get rid of toxins like in the core plan, but you go to the next level, is everything that turns to sugar. So in the core plan, you can have God sugar, but in the advanced plan, you're trying to heal that inflammation in the cell. So you're going to get rid of it. So this is what they call now keto. I wrote a Mix a Keto book, but I don't like the word keto because people think I can have 6 pounds of bacon. It's like, that's not keto, okay? It's about just eating less sugar. And so no grain. On a core plan, can you have grain? Yeah, but it has to be, I'm going to go bring my other foods back, but it has to be like almond flour and just good quality grain, which you can't find nowadays, but no grain whatsoever. So what do you mean by no grain? What has grain in it? Tortillas, pasta, rice, what else? Bread, oatmeal. Forget it, I'm out of here. Lock the door. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean you can't have certain things. So you guys know what Siete brand is? Siete. It's a brand, and I remember the chips. Did you like the chips? Yeah, they were made out of almond flour or cassava. So you can have some of this stuff. So then fruit, you would have like, so no sugar other than stevia or monk fruit. Fruits, you would be able to have berries and green apples. Here, you're going to be able to have all the fruits, but here, because they're so high in sugar, you only limit it to berries and green apples. That's why with the smoothies, you can have the berries, the frozen berries in there. And then protein, just like the core plan, you can have meat, but as long as it's not with the meat's that bad, it's what the meat eats. So you would use grass-fed, wild fish, free-range chicken. So the protein has to be good quality source. And then here's the same thing, the good quality fat, like avocado, coconut oil, and olive oil. Does that make sense? So that's basically the nutrition. I mean, the rest is in your book. You guys can read this stuff. Great. I would suggest this for sure. If you're going to get anything, get something for your rehab. So if you can't get the whole package, I would at least go to the dollar store and get the noodles and land them at night for the fulcrums. We can show you how to do that. You can get the traction device. I would at least do that, and the wobble chair. But talk to my team, and today is going to be a percentage off for your equipment. Get this, and then don't forget the resource. And if you really want the protein, my team will also talk about the protein. But it's not that hard, guys. It's just talking about implementation. So if you want me to check you a month from now, like let's say you're going to start some of these changes, if you got checked for your blood pressure, all your vitals and all that, we recheck it in a month and see how you're at. But the only people I'm going to check is the people who ask me. You know what I mean? So you actually have to be involved and start deciding what you're going to take on. Okay. The last thing people ask me is like, what supplements should I take? I actually would rather you start changing your food, because remember, nutrients can't go even inside if you're so toxic. So start changing your food, start detoxing. If you do anything, I would say start with this, okay? Well, the protein for a good food, but I would start with this. In April, I'm going to talk about juicing, and we show you how to actually detox the body through juicing. But a lot of people don't have a juicer. They don't want to go juice. They don't have time to juice. They do all the, mental blocks, okay? But if you can't, then start with this. This is a product that mimics juicing. G-Cell has glutathione precursors that are found in greens like broccoli, cruciferous vegetables. It puts it in your liver, but your liver, these nutrients, produces the glutathione to help bind to toxins. And then then pushes it out like activated charcoal. So to get rid of the toxins, you got to this is down below the brain. So it doesn't work on heavy metals and stuff like that, but it at least gets you to start doing something to detox your body, okay? And so this is another product to consider. But
is that something that you mix into food? Or
no, it's capsules. So you take 2 in the morning of G-Cell and 2 of Bind at the end of away from medications, because it binds to medications too. So Bind is the last thing you do at night away from medications. And so, does that make sense, guys? So I know this is a lot of information, and this is just the 101. But I think that if we can give you how to and how to implement it, again, just get up in the morning, do your traction, do your stuff, do even like, I know they tell you do 60, don't do 60, just get 2 or 3 good tractions. There you go. Now, just go through the motion and start getting it in there. Okay, guys? And make your appointments, get adjusted, do the best you can. And finding an accountability partner. I love people who brought is that your husband? You're awesome. And you guys are awesome. Yeah. You guys, I mean, it's just so awesome that you guys brought even your daughter here. That's so cool. So can I pray for you really quick? Yeah, dear Lord, we love you. We trust you. We thank you. We just glorify you in everything we do. We just want to glorify you more. And we just ask that we take care of the temple you've given us, that just has your Holy Spirit within us. We love you, Lord. Just help us through this time. And we give just our bodies to you. Amen. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.